Bri Seeley here with you for another brilliant episode. I am here with Hilary, who has become a dear friend and colleague. I'm so excited. She's going to share with us today one of her methodologies, but also just how she lives in her success and navigates it on a daily basis as well. Welcome to the Entrepreneur Coach podcast. I'm the Entrepreneur Coach, Bri Seeley. My mission is to help female entrepreneurs like you have the audacity to believe in the inevitability of your success, then to gather the resources, tools, and knowledge you need to create your most aligned and profitable pathway to your vision of success. This podcast is all about providing you with a nitty-gritty behind-the-scenes look at what it takes to be a successful entrepreneur. Forget the success porn and the rags to riches stories. Each episode will pull back the curtain and share the reality of entrepreneurship. I cannot wait to be part of your journey. Hilary Decesare is an international business coach and best-selling author of Relaunch, Spark Your Heart to Ignite Your Life, and a pioneer female Silicon Valley CEO. As a sought-after speaker and founder of the Relaunch Co., she is among the first women to impact almost $500 million in sales for tech giant Oracle, as well as millions of dollars in venture capital for many successful startups. Hilary brings an innovative perspective to industry leaders, CEOs, and solopreneurs. She is widely recognized for her work in neuropsychology as it relates to business and life, and holds several certifications in the field. You may have seen Hilary on ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, The Huffington Post, the Hallmark Channel, and on ABC's hit TV series, The Secret Millionaire. Hello, Hilary. Welcome.
Bri, it is so good to be here. And I've been looking forward to this because I knew it was going to be something pretty powerful from the moment we met. So super excited to share whatever wisdom I can.
And I'm super excited to go through your methodology as well, because I got the privilege of going through it, 5 or 6 weeks ago. I tapped back into it frequently and often. So I'm excited for the listeners to experience it and understand how to apply it in their lives as well.
I remember when we first got acquainted, and it was one of those, like, we all have those, moments in time where everything's going great and then they're not. Right? And then we have another relaunch, and a relaunch is really a transformation that can be positive, it can be negative, but it's really how you perceive it to be that becomes so important. That's where I'm hoping that we're going to get to, kind of like having people realize that it's a lot easier than we make it out to be.
Talk to us quickly. How do you currently define success in your life?
Being in the, X gen right now, we're looking at, 40s, 50s. We've been through a lot. There's really nobody that I've talked to that doesn't feel like, wow, we've we've come from the generation of, my dad used to say, kids are meant to be seen and not heard. If you're going to be at the dinner table, act like an adult. And you're like a 7-year-old kid. It's like, what? We now are experiencing this idea that what we thought success was isn't necessarily matching what we have and what we really are going for these days. And they're actually juxtapositioning each other. And so we have to go back, and literally, I love the question because I had to reassess what success really meant to me. And I'll tell you, there was a moment in time where I had that, like, oh my gosh, there was a show that was on ABC called The Secret Millionaire, and I had an episode of it. You go and they strip everything away and they put you in a place, you're not supposed to have makeup. They take away all of the things that they think are so important, and they leave you there to help uncover really incredible people that are making a difference in the world that don't have that voice. I remember they had put me into this small house, but it was a crack house before I was there. It was very gross and feces ridden, and just really an awful situation that I was walking into. And I remember sitting on this bed, and they had said, hey, in a couple of hours, we're going to give you cleaning stuff if you want to clean it. But I didn't have it initially. So I'm sitting there, and I'm like, what separates my life from this life? And I started to think, is it truly a lifestyle of success that we're going for? Is it that you're creating your own success by what you envision success to be? And that's where it all of a sudden hit me as I was literally lying on this very harsh, it was like a wool blanket that who knows who was like on it before. And I thought, what if my lifestyle of success that I had created up to this point in my life was actually not my own? So I went back, and during this week plus that I was on this show, I literally pulled down, I relaunched myself, I took down the barriers, and I started to really think about, what do I really want? What is really truly important to me? We talk core values, like, what do I really stand for? And it was during that time period and meeting these incredible people that weren't looking for notoriety. They were looking for surviving and helping and impacting. They weren't trying to create the next $1 million business. They were looking at, how many souls can I help? And it was such a beautiful time in my life. And this was probably about 8 or 9 years ago. It changed everything. It literally taught me that I'm going for a lifestyle success that is no longer my parents. It's no longer my friends. It's no longer the former Hilary version. It's this new one. I started to create it that day.
This is something that I hear that's very consistent amongst a lot of my interviews. We're so conditioned to start with, in our lives, this very external definition of success. The things, the stuff, the metrics, the money, the cars. I don't know if it's just who I attract or if this is just the direction the world is going, but this movement is happening. So many of us are standing up and saying, that is not at all what success means, nor is it what I want to be going after, focusing on every single day. So you're in this contrast experience. You get back to your normal reality. Was it culture shock? What changes did you have to make in order to stick with these aha moments you had in the show?
So what was great about it was, my first client back he was selling his business, and it was going to be I think it was $250 million sale. And I've helped people from like the very second of just developing an idea to literally selling their business. And I tapped into something when I was on that show that I asked every single person. And we always talk about Simon Sinek and why. Well, a lot of times we're creating businesses, but we don't actually ask ourselves, what's the end goal? Is it that you want to, have a merger? Do you want to sell it? Do you want to close it? Do you want it to be a legacy? Do you want to give it to a family member? I hadn't really ever put that into my coaching. And I did with this guy. He had just literally, I think it was at the time where he might have just signed the paperwork. And I said, so what do you want to do now? This was your goal. And he broke down on this call and he said, Hilary, I'm almost at this point where I feel like I'm the biggest failure. I have just sold my business, but my marriage is completely about to end it with divorce. My kid won't even talk to me. I don't have what I always thought I would have. I said, but you do. You thought you were going to have the money, but you hadn't planned for the other items. You were so focused on it. I said, what if 12 weeks you focus on what's really important? And he said, I always thought after I sold the business, I would buy a sailboat and I would go travel the world. And I said, do you like sailing? I don't know why, it was one of those intuitive hits. And you know what he said? No, I hate sailing. And so I said, okay, so hold on. Where did that come from? He said, well, when I was young, there was a friend of my dad's who came around and he had just sold his company and he bought a boat and he was sailing around the world. I'm like, did he have a wife? No. Did he have a family? No. So do you see what had happened there? He created his lifestyle success around a fictitious, it wasn't him. It wasn't what he was going for. And I find, especially women, because maybe we didn't have that mentor, we didn't have that person, maybe your mom did not work in that capacity where, she was an entrepreneur, maybe your dad wasn't. So we come up up with, oh, well, I want to be like her, or I want to be like him, but your story is totally different. The way I refer to it is the 3HQ framework, and the framework is your headquarters within yourself. And there are 3 H's, and the H's stand for your head, your heart, and your highest self. And in your head, it's your thoughts associated with even the steps that you're going through, even the processes, right? Because a lot of times we sit there and we're like, well, wait, I have the steps, but I'm really miserable. I have the steps, but it's not working for me. Or I have I've got something that I call bugs, beliefs underground surfacing, and they're the negative things that show up for us, like this gentleman who was trying to sell his business and everything was failing miserably. And when you take the head and you put it with the heart, where you've got emotionally charging why you're doing something all the way to the end, that's when you can start looking at it that instead of emotional blocks, they're not the blocks. They're your like cornerstone for opening up the doors to what you need to really deal with, so that when you're looking at the steps, it's how do they relate to me? And then to get to that highest self, which is what I call your G zone, where you operate in your best level of energy and you've got growth going on and you've got gratitude and you've got your own greatness. That's the triple threat. That's the trifecta. It's really trying to realize that the paradigm has completely shifted.
The measures of success used to be that head version. We're now in an era where we're inviting our heart into the conversation of success and our higher selves into the conversation of success. I do feel like we are at this like pivotal juncture in our world, our generation, at least in the Western world, where we have this opportunity to take this vision of success towards a more meaningful perspective.
I was a Silicon Valley girl. I worked at Oracle, high-tech company for almost 10 years. It was about as head-based as you possibly could get. For me, there was this underlying calling, and I've always had a very high level of intuition, but I kept pushing it down. And what I have really figured out here after doing this as long is that I often say, who knew woo could be so good for you? If I had said, hey, Rick, my VP, I think I'm going to get this deal. Well, how do you know you're going to get? I just know it. My intuition, my wise woman inside of me it's telling me, like, I feel like, this is what's going to happen. They would have laughed me right out of the building. But yet what happens to us is we then build the walls. I call it hell in the hallway. And we just keep shutting the door. Wait, I've got a little bit of an inclination that something, I should be doing this, but oh gosh, we better not do that. Keep following the steps, keep following the procedures, keep following the systems, and I'll eventually get there. And eventually I realized, wait, we have, especially as women, we have such a big gift. We've got this intuitive sense. It could be in the knowing sense. It could be in the feeling sense. You got that gut reaction, or it could be in that overall highest self. I just have this sense that this is right. And I often ask, what's your relationship with your intuition? And a lot of times I get, well, geez, I've never really harnessed it. And I'll say, what made you stop really trusting it? And they're like, well, this happened and it really didn't pan out the way. And I often will say, well, maybe it was your interpretation that was off, not the intuition. Maybe that's the real problem. And the way I go at any of the things I do these days, whether it's myself or my coaching clients, I always make sure that we are so dialed in to harnessing the intuitive side of business. And the 3HQ framework allows to do that. Now, one of the most important parts of 3HQ is being able to literally have energy on demand. Because how many times where we wake up, we are having a crappy call, something doesn't work out, and you're just like, I can't. I'm in a low vibrational level. And it's totally understandable that you would be feeling awful, feeling angry, feeling discontent, feeling shame. But there are times where we as business women have to elevate ourselves. We have to continue to work to grow our business, to get into that mindset. And I call it Tune In Power Tool. 4 easy steps. And if we have time, I would love to take you
Let's do it.
again through, because this is
Let's do
so
it.
powerful for any listener out there. So we know Einstein says you can't solve a problem at the conscious level it was created. Well, there was a whole lot of time I had no idea what that meant. Well, now I get it. If you have something that's a challenge for yourself and you're looking at it from the level of the challenge, you can't bounce above it. So what I want to ask you, Bri, is let's just start simple and say, what is a challenge that's going on in your life right now? This is step one. It's very head based.
I think the thing that comes up is I'm getting ready to launch a mastermind. I have a lot of stories around how it's going to work and if I'm going to fill it. Just lots of junk in my head around the process. It's going to be a lot of work, all the things.
Okay. And I'm sure so many people out there are listening saying, yes, it may not be a mastermind. You might be doing a course. You might be doing something in your business that you're about to take out to the market. So now step two is we're going to have to elevate our energy. And the way we do that is everything is energy. All emotions have an energy. We need to rise above. And I use a lot of neuroscience. I've been studying it for 10 years. I have a psychology degree. What I want you to do is think of a song that when you hear it, it just lights you up. You cannot be operating at a low level when you hear it. Music, just like the arts, allows you to elevate yourself, change your state. So a song that you think of, you have to listen to it in your mind or play it out loud. You have to do it for 20 seconds. That's the magic. That's when we see on scans that things have changed. Okay, so Bri, what's the song?
Groove is in the Heart by Delight.
Oh, okay. I love that song.
It's such a good
I mean,
song.
it is such a good song. Okay, so groove is in the heart. And what I want you to do again, 20 seconds, and you take it from your head to your toes. You're moving your body. If you're by yourself, you stand up, you're dancing, you're already feeling it. By the way, Bri, turn it up, girl. Turn it up in your mind. We can't play it right now because we'd be shut down because you can't do that with music rights. So now we're going to take it. We've got it, 20 seconds, moving it up and down. This is the best part of this. Every single person can become a master of tune-in. We've had our challenge. We've had step two where we're changing the channel, elevating by tuning in 20 seconds. Now we go to step three. And step three is creating that micro movie in your mind where you're the star. You are already, you believe that something, whatever is the opposite of your challenge, it's already happened. You've already filled your mastermind. You've already launched it and everybody wants to join. People are like, oh my God, this is what I've been waiting for. This is what I've been looking for. You then tune in again to Groove is in the Heart. You literally listen to it, and there is a color that you're either wearing or seeing. When you're creating the movie, what is the color that is really resonating with you?
It's kind of flitting back and forth between a really bright green and a really deep orange, like a carnelian color.
Ooh, which one do you want to map to this process? Which color?
Let's do the carnelian.
I want you, because this is emotionally charging it. This is the heart place. Step three is heart based. We are going to not just 1x the color and the emotion. We're going to 5x it. We're going to allow it to go through. We're tuning in. We're seeing it. It's already happening. You may be on stage right now and you are looking out at these people who have signed up for your mastermind program. Now, as we create that, you have to take an internal image, an internal picture. And the way we do that is I'm going to say click. You're going to open and close your eyes as if you are a camera taking that internal picture. I'm going to do it 3 times. Click, click, click. Do you have this picture of you in this beautiful carnelian color? You've got it. You've energized it. You got it? Are you good?
So one of the things that I've done is I went crystal digging in Arkansas earlier this year, and we have a ton of crystals around the house. And so what I did was I've actually created an altar for the 10 women that are going to be joining. Each one already has their own crystal point that's already been charged. So my
Yeah.
pictures were me like taking each one of those and getting ready to like put them in a little box with a handwritten note to like ship it off to every single one of the participants.
I love this. So now, as we go into step four is back to the head because we are not always in our higher self. So, what we want is to realize that it is a continuum. So, now we're going for step four back to what is one micro action that would help us get one step closer to that mini movie. So, we tune back into Groove is in the Heart. We hear it. What is one action? And again, success, we talked about that at the beginning of the show. Success likes speed. We do not want to wait until tomorrow. We want to do something today to take us one step closer to that mini movie of the mind. So tell us right now, what could you do as soon as we're done with this show?
I need to name it.
Awesome. And then what I always like to do, I want to hold you accountable for this. So I want you to DM me the name, and it has to take place today.
Done.
So good. So that is tune in. And what you're doing is energy on demand at any time. Now, what if you did the tune in process, which when you guys start to do it once, twice, three times, you're going to realize you can do this in less than 60 seconds. That's how great this is as your number one hack to success, as your peak performance coach here. This is what you have to be doing. But imagine you have 10 beautiful souls that are going to be coming into your mastermind. What if you did this twice a day? The tune in process 3 times. And in 5 days, you've done 15 different micro actions. 5 times, you're doing it 5 times with 25 micro actions using the same song, building on the image, building on the mini movie. That's when you start to realize you're gaining clarity, you're planning, and that's what, people say, how do you manifest? How do you really do it? This is how you manifest. This is how you bring in. It's the simple things that have the biggest impact. When you make confusing things into your process, you lose people, but you also lose yourself. Before I got on this show, I have a song that I use when I'm going on a show, podcast, stage, because it's a challenge, but it's a challenge because I want to impact people. And that's not negative. So I have a song that I use every single time. Then when I'm doing something like I'm creating, I have a different song. And so you could have this repository of like 5 go-to songs that you're just like, boom. When I'm dealing with finance, this is my song. When I'm dealing with scalability, this is my song. When I'm doing impact, this is my song. And you can really craft it so that it becomes so fluid. You just have it. It's there. And that's when the results start to come even faster.
Hilary, thank you so much for being such a brilliant guest today. Before we wrap, can you please tell everyone where they can come hang out with you on the interwebs?
I'm just going to throw something out. Let's just go straight for getting some tune in processes in everyone's hands. So you can go to tuneinpowertool.com, tuneinpowertool.com. And there is a video on how to do it. There's a worksheet so you don't have to remember what she say, step 2, step 3. There's examples of how you can use it in business. So it's just tuneinpowertool.com. Make sure you're reaching out to me and DM me on the Relaunch Co. Instagram and just say, done.
Please DM both of us because I want to know that y'all are doing this as well.
And tell us what the challenge is. Like this is my micro action today. I mean, that's where you start to have that, like, people are supporting you. You can do this on your own or you can do it in a group. Peak performance is elevating your energy. You have to get to a higher level when you're creating and when you're trying to have it resonate with your target audience.
Thank you, Hilary.
Well, I wanted to record just a quick little update to this episode. Hilary and I recorded this episode towards the end of October. Obviously, she gave me the tune-in tool during our conversation, and I wanted to let you know how it's been going since I've started using it. I am recording this on Tuesday, December 5th, and I can tell you that I have been able to maintain my energy around this mastermind that she and I discussed in such a beautiful way as a result of using this tune-in technique. Before I had even publicly announced that the mastermind was happening, it was around half full. As I say this to you today, I have sales calls booked to fill the entire mastermind. Now, who knows if all of them will be yeses and be enrollments, but that is to say that I have been able to maintain my energy in such a different way than I have previously when I am filling cohorts or inviting people in to be working with me. If you're thinking about giving this tune-in technique a try, I would highly recommend it. I can say from experience, it has really helped me be in a better mental headspace and also get into an energetic state before I take action in my business. Also throwing in here that while the mastermind may or may not be full, we still have applications open. So if you're looking at joining something for 2024, you want to elevate yourself and your business, become more of the CEO of your business, triple your bottom line. If you have some really big audacious goals and you just simply don't know how to accomplish them on your own, maybe you've been doing it alone for a very long time and you know what you know, but you don't know what's going to get you to that next level, this mastermind would be a really good opportunity for you to get some help around that. So if you're looking for a supportive container for the beginning of 2024, make sure you visit briseeley.com/mastermind, get your application in. Like I said, there's actually already a chance that the slots are full, but there's a chance they're not. So get your application in, don't wait. Even if you're on the fence about whether or not you're gonna join, you lose nothing by telling me about your business and telling me about the goals for your business. So briseeley.com/mastermind. Thank you all for joining me for another great episode of the Entrepreneur Coach podcast. There will be another one coming out later on this week, so make sure you are subscribed on whatever platform you are listening/watching, and we will see you again in the next episode.
Thank you for joining me for this episode of the Entrepreneur Coach podcast. I hope you gained valuable wisdom from this episode and have at least one thing you can act on today. As I always say, listening to this episode will not change your life. What you do afterwards will. Please be sure to leave a rating and a review of the show, and don't forget to share this episode with a friend or colleague who could use it. Last but not least, please have the audacity to believe in the inevitability of your success today. You deserve it.